Good evening. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend some time with Aftercare this evening as we talk about grief during the holidays. My name is Gretchen Starnes, and I'm the Family Aftercare Manager at the Kentucky Organ Donor Affiliates. And our team in Aftercare knows firsthand how very difficult it can be not only to lose a loved one, but to lose a loved one even during the holiday season. Our hearts truly relate to what you're going through. And so we thought, while we're all separated during this pandemic and not able to be together in person, it might be a great time for us to come together virtually so that we can talk about this subject. Because for those outside of the realm of grief, it can be very, very difficult to feel like there's anyone that's being able to relate to what we're going through. So we're just going to take the next 20 minutes or so and talk about some different topics surrounding grief during the holidays. And hopefully, as we're together right now, by the end of this time, we will know that we are not alone. We will know that the various things that we're feeling, all of the opposing things from minute to minute, that it's all okay. And maybe we'll feel a shred of hope because as donor families, that's what we provide to others through that beautiful, selfless gift, the gift of life. And so while we've provided hope to others through donation, I hope through us being together and knowing that you have unity and support in the donation family, that you will feel hope during this season. So let's relax a little bit and get a favorite cup of coffee or some hot cocoa. Hopefully you're comfortable in a good chair, and we're just going to sit and we're going to chat a little bit. So the holidays, just the word holidays, does it make your heart race a little bit? Does it make you feel that hustle and bustle? Some people love the charge of adrenaline that the holidays provide, while others, it can be really overwhelming. And when you're grieving, that hustle and bustle can almost feel like too much. So one thing we might want to consider as we're in the midst of the beginning of the holiday season is it's a good time to collect your thoughts. Sit down, take some time for yourself, write things down. When we're in grief, it's so difficult to keep normal tasks in mind, to keep our days organized, to remember things on our to-do list. So this time more than ever during the holidays, consider making a list, writing things down, and also identify who is your inner circle, who is that inner circle of support, the people you can rely on, the people that you can reach out and say, I'm struggling. The holidays are really hard. Whether this is your first year or if this is your 21st year without a loved one, or if you've had more than one loss in your family, that change of them not being present in the holiday season can really be hard. And so it's so very, very important to make sure that you have that support system around you. Whether it's developing some code words so that if you're with others and you're at some type of social thing and it's too much, that they know by a word you say or body language or something that you are overwhelmed and you need a way out. Well, some people may say, but what about celebrating it all? Like, after my loved one died, I don't even want to put up a Christmas tree. I don't want to go to a family gathering. I don't want to go to my house of worship. Is that okay? I feel angry because I don't want to celebrate. Seeing others happy and joyous really bothers me. And that's normal and that's okay. So you may choose that this may be the year that you don't want to put up a Christmas tree, or you don't want to light the menorah, or however your faith celebrates during this holiday season. And that's okay. And having that supportive inner circle to know what your needs are and how those needs can change from one moment at a time, and that it's okay to change your mind. So having those good friends in your court is so, so very important, because during this pandemic, we have felt more isolated than ever. And a lot of our common gatherings that we have during the holidays are not even able to happen right now. So in some ways, we have a little bit of relief because we might not have as many things on our list and places to go and things to do. But at the same time, we don't want to feel so isolated that we're not able to function. So please just don't feel guilty. That's one promise we have to make each other, that there will be no guilt, no matter how you decide to navigate through this holiday season. Give yourself permission to decline an invitation or a task that somebody has asked you to do for the holidays. It's okay to say, this year I just can't do it. Or this year I just would like to not do that typical tradition that our family does. And it makes it even more difficult if there are multiple family members that have been affected by this loss, because as you probably have already experienced, everyone grieves differently. And so what you may find as a tradition that you cannot do in this moment, or you want to stop doing that tradition, another family member, it may be the one thing that they're hanging on to that provides them any amount of comfort or joy during this holiday season. So it can be very challenging to balance the different family needs that we may have within our own family unit. So please just be gentle with each other and be kind and patient to each other as best that you can, because we all are affected when that loved one is no longer with us. So it's also good to give yourself, like I said, permission to decline, but say yes to help. If people realize that you're just not up to doing what you normally do, if your energy levels are depleted, if you just don't feel joyous, that's okay. But know that you can ask for help, because people that love and care about you are looking for ways to help. And let them step up since they've asked, and let them help. You know, Mr. Rogers always said, look for the helpers. And that couldn't be more true during this time. We've all been looking for the helpers during this pandemic. And when we're grieving and our hearts are so broken, so fragile, it's really, really so important to look for the helpers. And if you need to skip it, say, I need to skip it. I need to skip all of it or just some of it. But no matter what you decide, it's okay. It's also super important during the holiday season for everyone, not just those who grieve, but especially for those who grieve, to take care of ourselves. Making rest, good nutrition, those are priorities, because our immune systems are already taxed. During the holidays, it's really easy to eat our feelings, to eat too much, or we may feel so sad that we have no appetite and we don't eat like we should. And when we don't eat properly and we don't have good nutrition, that just sets us up to make us more vulnerable to become sick or ill. By not drinking enough fluids and keeping ourselves hydrated, our energy levels can just plummet, and we can feel even more lethargic than we already do. And you know, during this year, after you've lost a loved one, your financial picture has probably been impacted. And so there's also the stress of taking care of our financial health that is so, so important, especially during the holidays, because maybe the budget that you used to have for those traditional foods, for the gifts that you want to share with your loved ones and your friends and your community, that's maybe changed. And that's okay too. You need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself And that involves more than just our physical bodies. It's also our spiritual bodies, our financial situation. And so the totality of taking care of ourselves can mean so many different things. So just take time to look at that. And again, if you need help in those areas, reach out to that inner circle of support, and they'll be there for you. Another really great thing to think about during the holiday season. Now, a lot of us are not able to travel and do what we normally would do because of the pandemic. But even if you're getting ready to travel to an immediate family member's house who maybe just lives down the street, somewhere that it's safe and healthy to be with someone, you may want to consider whenever you're going to a function to always drive yourself. If you feel strong enough to do that. Of course, if you don't feel strong enough to drive, you maybe want to reconsider declining that invitation or taking someone with you and having them drive. But if you're planning to go out by yourself, make sure that you're not dependent on someone else for that ride, because you never know when you could be in a situation and the scent in the air, the song that could be played, you name it, a food that could be served, anything could trigger grief and the memory of your loved one. And by having your own vehicle with you, that provides your own way out, so that if it's just too much and you thought, oh, I thought I could do this, but now my anxiety is just through the roof, you're not trapped and you have a way out so that you can go back home and be safe where you know that you want to be. Also, it's a great time during the holidays when we're so aware of that loved one who's no longer with us to consider talking with a counselor or seeking out a grief group, even though right now they may all be virtual and online. We had one earlier this year for our donor families, and we're hoping that just after the holidays, at the beginning of the new year, we'll be starting another session. So if that's something that would be of help to you, please reach out to our aftercare team and let us know. And we would love to start the new year off walking beside you in your grief and helping you to find hope again. And also really be honest with yourself, because sometimes it's hard to push and we'll try to tell ourselves that we're better than we really are. And so if the holidays become so overwhelming and you're just really struggling with putting one foot in front of the other, and you're really questioning whether you want to continue on in this life, or if you're thinking of hurting yourself, please, there's an 800 number that you can call the suicide hotline at any time, 24/7. It's simple and easy to remember. That number is 1-800-273-TALK, 1-800-273-TALK, and there will be a caring person on the other end of that line. And so if that's something that's in the back of your mind or something that you've struggled with, as you're collecting your thoughts, please write that number down. Put it in your wallet, put it in your car, put it by your nightstand, wherever you need easy access to that number. Make sure that you're equipped with that. And we hope that you'll never need to use that. But if you do, just know that that number is available and people care on the other line, and they will do whatever they can do to help. So I've talked about taking care of ourselves and whether we celebrate or whether we don't. But what about those traditions? There's so much memory and tradition tied to the holidays, which is what makes it so hard. We think about our loved ones with a simple dish that was their favorite at the holidays, their favorite cookie, their favorite casserole. And do we keep making those things? Or is it too hard to make those anymore? Or what if they're the person who made the dish, and can we make it as good as they did? There are so many unknowns and so many questions. So think about choosing some new traditions, because one of the stresses with families during the holidays are some of the traditions that families do. And this is an opportunity to, stop some of them. Think of new ones that you might want to carry forward. Try something new. Change it up. Maybe you keep some of the old and you have some new and you balance those together. Just some things to think about. But when I think about different ways that I've coped with the holidays, some people will say, well, should I set a place at the table for our loved one? And some families choose to do that. They'll actually have the empty chair and they will put the table setting there for their loved one. And it's a very beautiful thing, while other people cannot bear to look at that empty chair. So in my case, that was a struggle for me. So rather than seeing that empty chair, I actually decided to change it up and I got a different table. I had a rectangular table. So instead I bought and purchased a round table so that then there would be no corners. So I would never be looking at that table thinking that's where my husband used to sit. So no matter what you choose to do, again, there is no right or wrong. These are just suggestions of ways to help. Other people will, put Christmas decorations around their loved one's favorite lazy boy, that spot where grandpa used to be all the time. Just putting their favorite blanket, putting their favorite hat, their eyeglasses, whatever they like to do to look over in that spot and feel the love of their loved one with them during the holidays. Or maybe you like to play a favorite song of your loved ones, and it just brings a flood back of wonderful, wonderful memories with that loved one. Or like I talked about before, cooking that favorite recipe. Those can bring so much comfort, even though they're tears. And tears will come because Christmas, Hanukkah, the whole holiday season is about family and connection and memories. And so there will be tears that are spread throughout, some smiles, hopefully. So what about activities with groups? Cooking and things like that you may do by yourself. Decorating that favorite chair you may do by yourself. But as a family, there are other things that you can do as a group. Some say their favorite thing is to offer a prayer together in memory of that loved one, while others may choose to have an elaborate toast before they begin their holiday meal. Again, to honor that loved one and to feel their presence with them during the holiday. Or you may want to engage as a family or close friend unit in some type of service activity together. Right now, of course, while we're not able to do as many things out and about as we normally would, but when it's safe for us to be together again, doing service projects in honor of that loved one and in memory of them. Or another thought, you could pick an item when you're shopping for the rest of your family, an item that loved one who's no longer with us really would have loved to have, and you gift it to another family member. And they instantly know when they open that this was something that their loved one would have cherished. Or maybe you have family heirlooms that would love to be shared with other family members. And so maybe during the holidays is a very good time to be able to share those heirlooms and gift those to other family members so that in their home they will continue to love and honor and reflect upon their loved one. Or maybe as a family, you choose a day to go to the cemetery together and place a wreath at the cemetery or say a prayer while you're at the cemetery. Or light candles together. And while we're separated, that's a wonderful way to feel connection, is to light a candle in each other's homes a specific candle just for the memory and love that you have for that deceased family member. Another thing you may want to think about doing, which I think is so touching and also healing at the same time, is to write letters or short messages to your loved one and place them. Maybe you roll them up and you place them inside the branches of your Christmas tree. Or maybe you place them in your loved one's stocking. Or you have an empty gift box that has a little slot in the top, and all of the family can write messages to their loved one and drop it in that box for them. But I'm going to take the last few remaining moments and I'm going to share with you some actual suggestions from our Donor Family Coalition, other donor family members who are walking the same path that we all are. So I asked the Donor Family Coalition, what is your best tip for navigating your grief through the holiday season? So I'm going to share some of those with you. Mary Ann says, the best way for our family is to celebrate the loved one who is no longer with us. We put up an ornament on the Christmas tree every year. We know their spirit is still with us. While Ashley says, my best tip is to cry when you need to cry. Crystal said, it is still difficult as we just lost Dad a week before Thanksgiving last year. But this year, we've been made sure to do more things together. We talk about him and mostly have funny stories to share. Karen shares with us that most of all, she would say to be gentle with yourself. Most holidays, she says, I still cry at some point in the day, but at least it's not all day now. And that's shared by Rhonda. And I'm sorry, as my eyes are getting older, I skipped a line. So that was from Rhonda. But Karen shared that we say a prayer at dinner, and at Christmas, we have special ornaments with their pictures on them, and we put on the tree. Another donor family says, I think it's so important to let your emotions guide you through the holidays. That certainly includes laughter and tears while surrounding yourself with those precious memories. And that's from Sandy. And Cassandra shared some beautiful words that I hope will inspire you. She said, I just believe our loved ones are still with us in spirit. So it helps me to keep my daughter relevant. Not only just on the holidays, but every day, just as I did when she was here with me. I wake up every morning and I tell her good morning. It makes the holidays a little easier. It helps me especially through the holidays to hear from the recipients, because I believe that Yolanda is the tie that binds us together. And I'm reminded of the selfless and heroic act of love that she shared. And it makes me proud to know that she lives on through them. Hearing from them is like hearing from a piece of her to me. I know that some may not have the relationship that I have been blessed to have with her recipients. It's okay to cry and tell them that you miss them and wish that they were there, but reminisce on the things that bring joy and laughter, and allow that laughter and joy you feel in your heart and soul to allow their presence to be felt in the moment. So a second question that I asked the donor families, I said, what activity, new or old tradition, has been helpful for you and your family following the death of your loved one? Mary Ann said, we still celebrate his birthday, and we put his ornament on the tree every year. While Ashley said, I have a special hot pink glittery tabletop tree that's just for the memory of my daughter. Connie says to us that she has a memory tree with her son Jeff's stuff on it. I go through pictures and I remember the good times. And I've been to Connie's home and her tree is beautiful. It's full of all kinds of things that Jeff loved throughout his life. The thing I remember the most is his baseball mitt being right there on the tree. And as a mom, I can only imagine how Connie feels every year when she sees Jeff's tree. Crystal says, instead of putting an angel on the top of our tree, we put my father's hat because he now is our angel. We try to keep traditions the same, making sure that we keep his memory alive by using his favorite color and things and still making his favorite foods at the holidays. While Rhonda says, the one thing we do each year is we put up our Alex tree. It's the first Christmas decoration I put up. We have also let some of our old traditions fade away. For example, every Thanksgiving and Christmas, we used to go to the movies together, but we no longer do that. Sandy says, when we got married, we started our own tradition of steak and lobster for Christmas dinner, and that has continued all these years. And of course, it was pretty reasonable at first that the boys didn't like steak, but they acquired the taste pretty quickly. As they married and had children of their own, that tradition still continues. Karen says we often talk about some of the crazy and funny things that they did as toddlers, and yes, teenagers too. They talk about lots of happy memories, and some we wouldn't share with anyone outside of the family. And Cassandra shared that some may feel they shouldn't be having a good time, or if they speak of their loved one, it will make things harder. I guess I may be weird, but involving them in some way, their favorite dish, their picture on the tree, including something that is a part of them, makes things better. And in closing, I'd just like to say that we do care. All of our donor families in the Donor Family Coalition send their warm wishes to you during this holiday. We know what it's like to be missing a loved one. We also know that you can be happy and sad all at the same time. I think sometimes I think of it as that word sappy, happy and sad together. And we can have tears and memories, and we can miss them sorely. But we also can find joy and comfort in the life they lived and the memories that we have. And you know, happiness does not diminish how much you love and miss your loved one. Whereas there is great grief, there is great love. And those tears and the pain reflect how deep we love that person who is no longer with us, but we carry them in our heart. And you know, I think about in the movie, in the story, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, and they talked about his heart growing 10 sizes that day. And there's something about the growth we experience through the different difficulties and pain in life. You're doing great. It may not feel like it in every moment, but from my house to yours, from our aftercare team, and from our entire CODA staff and the Donate Life community, you are not alone. And we are here to support you. And we're so glad that you're part of our donation family. May you have a safe and meaningful holiday season. And may you find peace. Thank you for joining us.